Hi.
Hi, in this video we will talk about the most important and the most popular type of testing documentation. It's test cases.
Yeah, maybe they require more time from testers, they require more efforts, but still, this efforts, this time will pay off completely because this documentation is comprehensive, is not enough for experienced testers, for newcomers, for any purposes you need. Again, not only for testing, but also for knowledge transfer.
Yeah, absolutely. And as usual, we will use the form from our previous sprint for one of the tasks. It's this Google form with reworked requirements. And before we start, also important things is to create checklists before creating test cases.
Yeah, that's kind of the maybe the most useful, like the 80% of your mental work is to create checklist with the full set of ideas to be sure that coverage of the requirements is absolutely full, to think about all possible user scenarios, then future will be transferred into test cases. So starting with writing down checklist is always a good idea. Do not try to sit down and write down all test cases at once. Start with checklists.
Absolutely. And we want to start with the most important verification with checks. It's a positive check of all fields, like smoke test.
Smoke.
So
Yeah.
yeah, here with this idea, we have this idea, creation account by filling all the field with valid data. And also, before we start to create our first test case, let's revise what fields each test case includes, what we should
Yes.
fill in.
So this is unique identifier. If you use any management tools, it will be filled without your attention, like automatically. Also, you should provide the link to the requirements. Then the next attribute is priority. There is a lot of different classification approaches to identify priority of test cases. It can be high, medium, low, or maybe that's going to be small critical path or extended test cases. And even A, B, C, D is also a way to prioritize your test cases. Then you should provide like the module name, and that field can be missing in some management tools. Still, remember that your testing documentation should be logical, structural, and identifying the module will help you to have such a documentation. Then the description field goes, and it's gonna be a little more complicated than previous one because it's include maybe some inside attributes, let's call them like that. So first of all, it goes the title of the test case, and it's usually your idea from checklist. Also, the other name for title is summary. The next attribute in description is steps. So remember that test cases should include like very specific steps, one by one, what should be done to have such or the other results. Also, sometimes it is required to identify kind of preparations, preconditions. So, for this create your Google account form, precondition can be the following, like create Google account form or just Google account form is opened, something like that. Maybe, for example, if you are going to delete something or you're going to edit some issues, of course, in the precondition, you should underline that this issue, maybe, I don't know, image or something like that, should be added to be able to delete something. So do not forget to edit firstly.
Yeah. And usually it's all mentioned the way how we go to any page, because this for sure we don't, maybe it's like we have no full information how to open this form, but it's better to add the way how to do it.
Yeah, especially if it requires any kind of password or something like that. Of course, you should provide all the information in test cases. Remember, your testing documentation is always clear and full.
Yeah. So let's start with steps, and here we should go field by field, not missing something or not mixing something. So on the form, our first name is the first field, and we can go to our requirements and find this information about this.
Yeah, pay
And
attention. The title here can be such like fill all the fields with valid data, because you've got the steps, and here you will have all the information that you will need. The titles of the fields, the range of valid data, and so on. Also, here you can see that we are using like Excel, old-fashioned tool to teach students to write test cases. Still, that's a big part of logic here, because we do not know what test management tool you are going to work with. Is it going to be Jira, or maybe you will work with TestRail? Any test management tool can be used properly if you know all the attributes, if you know how to write just correct steps and so on. So you can use your knowledge on any management tool if you have proper understanding.
absolutely. Yeah. I need some time to feel this,
Yes,
all the steps.
still you can see that creating test cases is also much about copy pasting. So be very attentive. Do not make any mistakes, because it's quite easy if you do a lot of copy paste work to make mistakes. Be very attentive. That's not so easy as it seems to be. Just copy paste from one source to another. And again, when you will create one test case, the information from this test case can be widely used for the next test cases. Also, as it was mentioned into the checklist forms, if you have to click some button, if you have to click to check the radio button or to check the check box, that's going to be different steps in your test cases. Do not like unite them into one.
Yeah, and the same for input fields. All field should be filled separately, because like this is new action. So when we are moving to the next field, it's mean in test case you should create new step.
Yeah, and I suppose it's going to be clear if we will pass to expected results. Yeah, why is it
Yeah.
so?
So the next field, which should be filled for each test case, this is expected result. For expected result, we should fill for each step separately what we expected from the requirements, right? Or from the logic.
Yeah, so each step and one expected result each step should have. So again, do not miss something. It's a good practice to again to copy paste and still be very attentive to your copy pasting.
Is it okay? No.
Input double P.
Yeah. So we should repeat this for the all fields. Because here, let's imagine you open the application, you fill the field, what you expect to see here, that your inputted data is displayed. So this is our expected result.
Yeah, maybe checkbox is checked or radio button is selected, or maybe some kind of value is displayed from drop-down list. So each field should have an appropriate result. Maybe if it is a negative check, some buttons will be blocked after you've tried to insert invalid information in one of the fields, and like other steps will be impossible to confirm, to go to the next, and so on. So if you have like 6 steps, it is expected that you will have 6 expected results.
Yeah, don't be afraid of copy pasting the same information. It's really important that each step should have expected result. And here, after clicking on a back button, we would like to see like our main expected result, and here should information which we would like to check mostly be displayed and described in detail. So what happened here? As I remember from our requirements, it should be like some confirmation message appear. Let's it be here, but don't forget to add all details. So we should we should
Yeah,
write.
exact text.
Yeah, yes, absolutely. Something like that, right?
Yeah, and if then the user is redirected maybe to the account page, it also should be mentioned. So if confirmation message appears and the user is redirected somewhere. Yeah, let's go to our step number 6. I suppose that's not going to be a back, but next button.
Sorry, yes, wow, cool. You see that it's very important that somebody.
Yeah, still that's a good example of how like technical maybe work when you feel like what can you do, just copy and paste, still requires a lot of attention. Okay, I suppose we've got the last attribute, status. For now, this test case is obviously we've got status like untested or something like that, because we do not know, we haven't performed our actual testing. Yeah, we do not know will this test case fail or will it pass in the future. And remember that a good practice is to create your test documentation before you actually see how the application works. Because you, in this case, you are writing your test documentation only based on the requirements. So you will not look at the real application and say, okay, that's different, but maybe that should be so, and include incorrect steps in your test case.
Yeah, absolutely. So, to create good test cases, you should remember about your requirements. They also should be clear. You should remember about what fields should be filled. The most important one is a description with title, precondition, steps, and expected result should be written for the every your step. Don't forget about the status. So hope this video was useful for you.
Yeah, see you. Bye.
Bye.